Let's go.
Audio Jungle.
Yeah. I really got the feeling today
Audio Jungle.
that everything is going my way. Now this is what I'm talking about.
Audio Jungle.
Every time I see your smile, it makes me shout. Let's go.
Audio Jungle.
Let's go. Nothing's gonna stop us today.
Audio Jungle.
Get on the bus or get out the way. We're cruising with the radio on.
Audio Jungle.
So turn it up to 10. Here comes our favorite song. Let's go.
Audio Jungle.
Let's go. Let's go.
Audio Jungle.
Let's go.
Good evening, good afternoon, good morning, good dawn, good everything, whatever you find yourself on the continent. This is the Demystify Tech Show with Sam. It's another Friday and it's another opportunity for us to learn, to share, to demystify any tech and hey, have some fun. Um, yes, truly, some joining. When we come back, I'll be sharing with you what we're talking about today in the episode. That is, we'll be taking a look at demystifying or the introduction to the Microsoft Graph API. When we come back, take a stay. Awesome. We are back. We are back. Yes, this is the Demystify Tech Show. And in today's episode, I will be talking about the Microsoft Graph. Now, before we get into that, well, just a couple of things I want to throw out there. As usual, I like to let you know what's happening in the world of tech. One of the areas I'm passionate about or very interested in is IoT, as you all know, and therefore it was exciting to see this news. Let me flip to this screen. So yeah, within the week, the Azure Sphere Developer Learning Path was launched. What does that mean? Well, if you've been following my IoT Tuesday series, you would note that I have used this kit or this board in doing, some IoT stuff. It's actually one of the secured MCUs that is coming from the staples of Microsoft. And there is now an official learning part in the Microsoft Learn with some codes, and code samples that you can use. I checked it out. It's quite interesting. So I think if you have the Sphere, this is a time for you to go check that out. I think I opened that up. Yep, as you can see, cool stuff. All lab lessons 1 to 6 with the labs. Um, introduction, build your first sphere, send telemetry, control the sphere, device twin, direct method. You've seen us do this, but one of the cool thing is integrating free RTOS. Most IoT, MCUs are not real time, but free tools or free R tools, whatever we call it, allows you to do some form of, multi-threading and real-time OS on your IoT MCU. So check that out. I think the next thing also that was interesting for me within the week was this module by our friend Olivier from the IoT team. So he published this Trigger an Azure Event Great Workflow from an IoT device. Quite very interesting as well. So things that I have tried within the week. So if you're a fan of the IoT stuff, go check these out. Awesome. So in today's episode, we are talking about the Microsoft Graph. This is going to give you an opportunity to explain a couple of things concerning the graph and also to demystify and to debunk a few things. So before I get into it, I would want to explain what the graph is, and to do that, I can go ahead and give you the explanation, or like we do all the time, we can go to the Microsoft site and take a look at what the graph is. But ideally, if you've wondered how you want to create, either as an ISV or someone working in an institution that already has investment on the Microsoft 365 platform, and you've ever wondered, well, we want to create some custom solutions or independent solutions that integrate into the Microsoft ecosystem. And when we say M365, it's not Office 365. It encompasses almost everything on the Microsoft ecosystem. So from Windows to Office 365 to all the other products on the Microsoft ecosystem. Now, and you've been wondering, I want to develop an application that integrates with it. How do I go about it? Well, very normal. This is what the graph does. It's a unified, API, so to speak, or a unified programmable model that allows you to interface or to connect or integrate, and have access to data and stuff from all the Microsoft ecosystem. Now, so I'm using this opportunity to let you know events that are going to happening on this channel for the next couple of weeks or probably months. So what I'll be doing is that I'm dedicating Demystify Friday, or sorry, Demystify Tech series for the next couple of weeks to talk about the graph. So today is just an introduction of the graph. We're going to see, we're going to just navigate the documentations, the code samples, and all that. And then in subsequent series, we're going to start on how to use the graph API. We're going to start with both C Sharp and Node, but there are other languages or frameworks, or as the case if you want to use. So I'll be walking you through this for the next couple of weeks in this journey. The idea is to expose you to the graph API, what you can do with it, and we'll build some applications along the line. Once that is captured enough, we can now start integrating into things like Teams into our own applications, writing extensions for O365, other Microsoft products. However, to get started with this, yes, someone is saying, yeah, that's why you can see that today I'm wearing something on O365. Now, what you need to get into this is that you're going to need the developer account, the Microsoft developer account. If you don't have it, or if you don't know how to do it, let me show you this. If you go to my site, and actually on the Microsoft side, it's also something like that. If you go to my website, which is s@joiny.me, in fact, actually open this um, somewhere here. Let's go here. So if you go to my website, yeah, s@joiny.me, I have a step-by-step guide on how to create your O365 account. So right here, very detailed, step by step. That allows you to, first of all, you need to have the developer account to be able to start building and testing stuff on the Microsoft 365 ecosystem, which includes the Graph API. So I have given you, detailed step by step on how to create, the account, create your developer account, and do all that. So go check this out. I'm going to put it. Let me actually put it here. So let me put it in there. Actually, let me copy the whole link and paste it in the chat. So if you're watching, this should have been presented to you. So that is it. So first of all, you need to get this. You need to get the account. So now let's go to the graph URL, or let's go to the graph page, and then we can now start taking it from there. So welcome to the new Microsoft Graph. Now this has been there for quite a long time now, but it's been undergoing a lot of development and a lot of like change and review and all that. So this is what we're going to be doing for the next couple of weeks on the Demystify Tech series. So today we're going to look at the introduction to the graph. So let's go ahead and let me just go to the graph instead of trying to so just walk you through. Quite simple, and it gives us a lot of product. We're talking about it as part of today's episode. So, what are some of the things you're looking at? There are tutorials being released for it. Cool thing. So, what Graph can do technically, onboard users. You can use that to do it. Integrate with Excel, integrate with Word, integrate with a lot of the Microsoft products. Manage employee profiles. You are building internal solutions. Correlate security alerts and all that. You can do it. One of the cool things I like about the API. Look at this. It has, it's technically a gateway for Azure AD, Excel, Intune, Outlook, on OneDrive, OneNote, SharePoint, Planner. So pretty much the graph is a unified model that allows you to access all these products on the Microsoft ecosystem. Now, supported languages, That'll interest you. Very, very wide range, from Android to Angular to, and Angular because they are components. We'll talk about the Graph Toolkit, if not in today's episode, maybe in the next episode. The Graph Toolkit, that's like components ready you can use in your applications. You can do it in iOS, Java, JavaScript, Node, PHP, Python. Let's go here. Ruby, UWP, Xamarin. So there's a lot of support for different languages for you. So now let's just go ahead. Let's do this. Let's go to the docs. I just want us to explore, want us to explore it to the to the core in today's episode. So let's go to the overview since we're trying to understand it. All right. So technically, it says here. Let me zoom this in so we can see this properly. So what it is, the Microsoft Graph. Is this clear enough? Yeah, I think this looks cool now. Now, so the Microsoft Graph is a gateway to data and intelligence in the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. Now, it provides a unified, so this is what I want you to pay attention to. It provides a unified programmability module that you can use to access a tremendous amount of data in Office 365, Windows 10, enterprise mobility and security. So think about it. So it's not just for Office 365. Okay, so don't think this just gives you access to Office. No, no. Technically, Office inclusive, Windows 10, enterprise mobility and security gives you access to all these things. Now, so use a wealth of data in the Microsoft Graph to build apps for your organization and consumers that interact with you. So here's kind of like a pictorial representation of it. So with the Graph API, you get access to what? Office 365, Windows 10, enterprise mobility and security, and all this managed by the Microsoft Identity Platform. All right. You also have access to the AI, the Azure AI platform as well. That makes meaning of it, and then you have all this REST access and API webhooks connectivity into it. So what you can do with this is, first of all, you can extend the capabilities of the Microsoft 365 experience. All right. So you can extend documents, conversations, the portals, timelines. You can use that to extend the features of it. And then also you can build your own experience. All right. You can build your own web apps that integrates with the with the Microsoft ecosystem. So you can build your own web app that pulls emails, pulls calendar events, and does a lot of things. One of my all-time favorite examples would be, imagine you're building as you are building an enterprise fleet management system that you want to be able to track or manage car maintenance, correlated with the schedules of the drivers or the users of the car. So think about it. With the Graph API, you could probably put sensors in the car, whatever it is, to trigger issues or trigger the sensors on the vehicle to check the state. So for instance, if it's due for maintenance, you can now use probably the Graph API to access the person's calendar to know, okay, what time is this person free on the calendar that you can schedule, a service appointment for this person to take the car in for servicing. This just, just a layman excuse, sorry, layman example, but I mean, it tells you. So you can use a Graph API to extend the Microsoft solutions, or you can use it to build your own experience. So bots, you can build your bots that integrate with the Microsoft stuff, being able to pick your calendar and do stuff, schedule appointment for you. You can use it for, devices and native devices and, non-native devices. You can create workflow automations and all that. So there's a lot of power packed, into the Microsoft Graph API. So it gives you a single endpoint, graph.microsoft.com, and then the versions and all that. We'll take a look at that using the Graph Explorer. We'll see that in a Graph Explorer. So in a nutshell, the overview, this is what the Microsoft Graph API presents to you. Now it exposes, REST endpoint for you, and look at this. So Office 365 services. So from Delve, Excel, Bookings, Teams, Online, OneNote, Planner, SharePoint, you have access to that. For in the areas of enterprise mobility and security, you can use a graph to access Active Directory, Identity Management, Intune. And for Windows 10, you're looking at services like activities, device notifications, and even Dynamics 365 Business Central can have access to the graph. So this is just giving you like a pictorial representation of it. So with the Graph API, you can have access to all these things. So teams, groups, calendars, messengers. So think about it. It gives you the opportunity to be creative and build, technically endless solutions. You can have your bot, look at messages, look at teams, look at calendar, look at planner events, and do, a lot of crazy stuff. So very simple, like I mentioned, to get started, you first of all need to have the Microsoft developer account. I've shared the link to my blog post where I have like detailed step-by-step ways of creating the M365 account. So go check that out. Now, but just for the benefit of us, just to get ourselves started, let's watch this. When we come back, we're going to continue to explore or take a look at the Graph Explorer. So let's check this out.
Hi everyone, I'm Jeremy Thake and I'm here with Ina today. Thanks for joining me, Ina.
Hi, Jeremy. Thank you for having me.
In this video, we're going to talk about the Microsoft Graph. So, Ina, can you tell me a little bit about what is the Microsoft Graph?
Absolutely. So, Jeremy, Microsoft Graph, simply put, is a REST API that you can use to interact with data in Microsoft 365.
Awesome. And so what kinds of data can you get at on Microsoft Graph?
Well, Microsoft 365 is a suite of services that goes from Office 365, Enterprise Mobility and Security, and even the Windows 10 family of services. So all of the data sets that are exposed out of these different services are exposed through the API.
Cool. And so what types of scenarios could people use that data with Microsoft Graph?
So we usually see developers building applications in kind of two camps. One is user interactive applications, where there is always a user present. And we have here examples like websites or native applications or even user trigger workflows. And the functionality that they tend to interact with are things like their mail or their calendar or their files that are stored in SharePoint and OneDrive. And the other set of applications that we see is around service or daemon applications, right? Like these are background processes that are trying to process information across, for example, the entire organization. Mm-hmm. An example here is doing scanning of mailboxes, making sure that there is compliance and DLP compliance, or looking for patterns on the email, on all of the emails across all of the different mailboxes in the organization.
That's really neat. So how do you get started with a Microsoft Graph? Where would you send someone if they wanted to play with this API?
Well, as a developer, just go to your browser and type graph.microsoft.com. You will be immediately redirected to our documentation portal. Here you will find not only all of the information about how to get started with the API, but also keeping up to speed with all of the events that we have for our community. So we have, for example, a monthly community call that developers can join to learn more about what are the things that we are launching on a regular basis, and also some of the use cases and some of the events that we also have in place on a regular basis. Here on our documentation portal, I'll point you to a few places. I'm going to start first with the Graph Explorer. So Graph Explorer is a great tool to interact with the API. You will be able to see a lot of the examples of the requests that we have available, as well as like links direct to the direct documentation. So for example, we have some getting started queries here, some of the things that are.
All right, so I'm going to end that because we are going to be talking about the Graph Explorer. So I just wanted you to watch that just to give you an intro into what we're going to do. So just to hear another side of the introduction to Microsoft Graph. All right, so let's get right back into it. So this is what we're going to do. I'm going to talk about the Explorer. Now, in most cases, when you're starting off with such product or such services, what happens is that you need a platform or an area where you can test things out. Now, and the Microsoft Graph team has done a really cool job by giving you the Graph Explorer. Now, check this out. Immediately you come to graph.microsoft.com or developer.microsoft.com, and you click on the Graph Explorer, right? So this is the Graph Explorer. Immediately what happens is that you are presented with this Explorer, and if you take note, I've not logged in, but I can go ahead and start doing something like get my profile when I click this, and then I run the query. Now, see that it gives me, let's zoom in here so we can see this part of it very well. Yep. So it gives us information using kind of like a dummy data for Megan Bound. So look at this. It presents the display name, is the person's given name, their job title, their email, their phone if they've provided it in their office, in their Active Directory, the office location, preferred language, the surname, the picture, all right, and their ID. And you can look on the left here and you realize that it's giving us the history of the APIs we've called. So here, let's go to get my photo. this runs, and then it presents, the person's photo. Now, in all this, I haven't logged in yet. So it gives you the opportunity to, test the API and see what options it's available for me. So let's see, let's look at my manager. Let's call this and see. There you go. Returns. This is Megan's manager and the details about her manager. Now, the cool thing is that it's not just this is just a getting started sample. All right. Now, if I go to show more samples, click here, it opens up. So as you can see, all we have here is just the getting started, which has six sample queries. However, if you want to interact with users, with groups, with Outlook, Mail, with Calendar, with Personal Contact, with OneDrive, with Excel, with Planner, all you need to do is to turn it on here. So I'm doing the introduction, showing you the work tools, showing you how we can interact with it, and then in subsequent lessons, we can just go ahead and start creating it. But today we're going to create our very first app that accesses data, and then we'll talk about a few things in there. So let's say I want to, in this situation, probably get access to, let's do calendar. All right, I can come back to this anytime. So close this, and then you realize that if you look here, the left, the calendar queries have been added. All right, as well. So if I want to say, okay, give me all my events, give me all the events in my calendar. Open this up, run this query, and check this out. We can check the whole content here. So it gives me everything, in the calendar, the starts, the end, the location, the attendees, everything about the, events in my calendar. Now, a couple of things I want us to pay attention to is the query. So as you can see, unified API graph.microsoft.com here. This is it, all standard. And then V1, and because this is more related to the current logged in user, all right, you can see that me, in this case, we have a virtual user here, not logged in, but I'll log in later on and we can see that. And then you can see me, and then, so here you go, event. And as you can see, we're using OData query. OData query. So what is simply doing? So we want to see, we want information about the event, right? I don't know if I can see this well. Let's see if I can zoom in. You know what? No, I don't need to do this. Let me bring let me go get my zoom. Yep, there you go. Zoom it is running, and then row one option. Oh, wow, that's cool. Okay, so if you look here, so event unified. I mentioned that there's a unified API. So graph.microsoft.com. We're using version one of the API, and then this is me pertaining to the user. And then if you look closely here, event. So here, this could be users, groups. That's why we say it's a unified API. And here, look at our old data query. So one thing you get to know over the period of this series is that Graph uses old data a lot. And at some point, we're going to have that conversation between, so what is the Graph, GraphQL and old data? I mean, basically, you would think that on a high level, they do the same thing, but at some point, we'll demystify that as well. So we're doing a select. We want to see the subject, the body preview, the organizer, the attendees, the start, and location. So that's what this OData query is. So it's going to go into the event for the current logged in user, which is me, not literally me, but in this case Megan, and then pull out Megan's event. All right, cool. Now, so the same thing. If we go back here, and then let's look for let's do this. Let's say all my calendars. All right. Now there's something you realize that I can run some of the post because look closely. It requires what? A login. Let me actually zoom in so you see this. So all the posts, I can't do the post because it requires me to log in to get. So to do a post, you need to be authorized to do a post. You're sending, but to receive, some of these things are common to do without logging in. So to do this, I'm going to go ahead and then sign in. All right. Now I have gone ahead and created my M365 account, developer account. So I'm going to use it, which is this. So let's log in. So now I'm logging to my, I'm concerting, let's say, yeah, also on behalf of the org, because I am the admin to that org, so I can do that. So now, still within the Graph Explorer, but this time, okay, it is going to give me access. This is me. It's now in reference to me. All right. So here you realize that now if I do my profile, if I do a get, check this out. It is returning the info on me. All right. Returning the info on me. Look at the so identity, my display name, the given name, the role, the mail, mobile, prefer. So it's giving me the context of me. So if I go and say my photo, there you go. It returns my picture. All right. Hey, Steven Adolfo, welcome. Welcome, 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 welcome. Yep, yep, yep. Yeah, it is very. There's a lot you can do with this. You can build your own applications. You can, that integrate with it. If your organization already has investment in it, you can use this to build on top of that. And then if let's say let's check my mail. All right, so this is going to pull my mail and check this out. Quite a lot going on in that, so it gives me all the email. So think about it. So if you think that Outlook is boring, use a Graph API and build your own, mail client. All right. If you feel that, hey, you need a platform where you want to have your calendar and you want to have your meetings, your events, and your group in one place, hey, go create that Node application, create that Vue application, create that Angular application, and use a Graph API to call it. So these are some of the cool things you can do with it. Now, so let's take a look at let's look at all my events, right? So just look at this, and then boop, I don't have any events in this profile. That's fine. But let's go ahead and show more samples so that I can get let's say I don't want to see the calendar again. Let's look at the teams. Do we want to look at teams? No. Let's look at groups, right? Let's look at groups, and then now groups should be added. So I can say all groups I belong to, and as you can see, yep, I belong to a couple of them. I belong to a couple of groups here. As you can see, all the groups, have shown out. So the Graph API is a very powerful API that gives me access to, all things across the Microsoft ecosystem. So we've seen that, we've seen the general users, we've seen group, we've even seen. I mean, even if right now, even to test it out, let's go to Outlook. All right, I'm going to send a mail right from here, so you can understand the power, of this. And let's see, I wanted to do something bad. Okay, let's work with mail. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and then do what? Send an email. All right, send an email and take a look at this. So this is my email body, request body, and let's say let's just do this. So let's say join the show now. So that's the title. So it's nothing but just, and if you look at this, is a JSON body. Okay, so subject, join the show now, body content, content type is a text. The content itself, I'll say, hey dude, you need to join the Demystify Tech Show now. All right. So send this. And who am I sending it to? Let me send it to myself first, and then we can check that out. So before, okay, no problem. So hey dude, you need to join the Demystify Tech Show now. Okay. So I'm sending it to myself. Samuel.adrani at demystifytech.net. And then that's it. I just have to run the query. Looks like you may not have permissions. Okay, so this is a typical one. I mean, it's good that this error has come. It will take me into the next thing I was going to talk about. Now it says that what I don't have permissions. Okay, I don't have permission to use the mail sending or mail feature, and this is just to illustrate the secured part of the Graph API, right? It doesn't mean, oh, it's just one API that gives you access to the entire 365 stuff on your org, in your tenant, on your organization, and developers and people can just run wild and go start calling APIs and calling queries and doing all the crazy stuff. No, that is not the case. It is very secure. So to modify this, now you get to understand the core permissions that do not require administrative permission, and then the ones that require. So under my name here, if you're watching closely, I can let me go back to my Zoom here. You can see this. It's too much right here. Yep, yep. So under my name, under my info here, see this modify permissions. All right. Now with modify permissions, this is where I can go and change the permissions that is associated with me. All right. Now, if I were not an administrator, now you realize this, I am an administrator of this account, but even that I don't have the, the implicit, the implicit permission to do this. All right. Sorry, the explicit permission to do this. I have to be granted the same thing. So I'm going to click here on the modify permissions. And then, so what were we doing? We're trying to use the Outlook mail, right? So that is, just close this for a moment. Let's just look at it. So this was send mail, right? We're trying to do send mail. So if you look at it, we're doing what? Send mail. So let's click on permission, and I'm going to use, yeah. So let's look here. Send mail. There we go. There we go. There we go. Let's look for it now. To point it out, now you realize that some of the things have the admin, which means that this can only be granted by what? An administrator. All right. And you realize that when I logged on, when I signed in, I consented to a couple of things for my org, and that's where you see the consent. But here, where is the end mail? Let's. There was there is a search. Let's say send mail. Oh no. I still want to stay within my Explorer. So yeah, signed in. Let me go to my permissions. There we go. So look for that. So no calendar. We're using Outlook, right? So not device. We're not doing anything directory. We're not doing anything files. Not identity. Yep. Okay, so here we go. So you realize that I don't have the mail send here. I don't have that permission. So I'm going to click this. All right. So I have the mail send. Let's say mail read, right? Yeah. So I can read mails, and then I can send mails. All right, cool. And then you look down here, realize that it says to change permissions, you will need to log in again. Yes, modify the permission. It will try to validate me to ensure that I have the permission because I've already logged on. It went through the loop, so as you can see. So now let's try the same thing again. I should have just copied this. So let's say send an email, and let's go back here and let's change the title, the subject, sorry, join the show now. And I'm going to change the content of the message. Remember we said, dude, you need to join the show now, exclamation mark. All right. And we're sending this to ourselves. Demystify tech.net. Now, so think about this as you creating any node application and calling this API to send email, all right, and have access to Teams, have access to calendar, schedule them. That's what we're trying to do. So I do this and I run query, and there you go. Check this out. It's being sent. All right, status code 202 accepted. Now, let's see if this message came in again with still the API. I can go and say get my mails. or let's just say, well, yeah, let's say get my mail from, get my mail. Or let's see. Let's just say get my mails. All right. And there we go. And let's look at this. What do we have here? Hold on. Let's go down. I'm trying to find the mail we just sent. Oh, this. Yep. So sender came here. And yep, not flagged. Where is that? Someone, where's that? Where's that? Where's the message? Where's the content? Okay. And that, and because this is formatted already in HTML, so you can, so I can just copy this out, all right, and just like kind of like display it, all right. So yeah, there is that. I think this should be it. Let's see when it came in. Yep, 24. Yeah, I think we just created that. So contact tracing. No, not this one. I don't think that's the one. Let's see. Yeah, my messages. Um, mm, let's not just filter. How about I alter this? Okay, I just do this. All right. I just want to see my messages. I'm not going to filter it. Just give me all my messages. All right. Let's run this. So there's no filter to that. Okay. Yeah, and take a look at it. That's it. So this is all my messages right here. Let me zoom this in, or better still, let me bring this here, and then let's use zoom it. So check this out. This is it. We sent the message we just sent, the subject and the body. Look at this. Dude, join the show now. All right. Now, so we've been able to do this all within the Graph API. All right. So I haven't gone into Outlook to go, check this, to go send or receive email. All this is happening, and right here is happening within the Graph Explorer. All right. So this is just to show you that you can go ahead, test it out within a Graph Explorer, but this wouldn't be cool, right? You want to build custom applications that allow you to integrate and do crazy and fun stuff. All right. Oh, really? Wise. Okay, hold on, let's see. I think it's still running. I might be wrong, but can you refresh your Twitter? Wise, can you refresh your Twitter feed again and check? Because I think I'm monitoring Twitter here right now, and it looks like, yeah, it looks like it's fine. Like it's still running. So maybe just refresh and let's see. If you refresh and it's still not running, I don't know. Then I'll probably check that. And it has not also dropped any frames, so that is weird. That is weird. Okay, cool. So the Graph Explorer just gives you, you know, this simple interface for you to, run it, just test your queries and play with them. All right. However, it makes a lot more sense if you write your own applications, whether you're writing it from a Node application, C Sharp, and all that. That would be cool. So a couple of things I want you to be mindful of before we get into it. Like I mentioned, today is just an introduction to the whole platform and tooling and things you can use. And then next session, we're going to start with getting started 101. We're going to go, this is how you create, the client in, let's say, JavaScript or C Sharp. This is how you call and all that. We're going to do that. But then a couple of things I want to expose you to. So on the same graph, graph the Microsoft.com site, if you go to, first of all here, let's open the docs to the right. And then also you can see on the top, there's API reference. In fact, let me zoom this in so I can show you this. Yep. So here at the top, this what I'm talking about. At the top here, okay, you have the Explorer, which we have used right now. Okay. Now there is a getting started. All right, which you're going to take a look at like right now. We're just going to work through the process, and I'll share with you a C# code I did, .NET Core console application I built that does that. And then you can see the docs. you need to go to the docs and then also the API reference. These are like very cool resources I need you to pay attention to, right? So let's open the API reference on the side. Let's open docs on the side. And if you go to resources, you can see all the resources, trainings, tools, video podcasts, all that. You can see that. Now, a larger part of using the Graph API requires you to register an app because you don't just create any app and just start calling the Graph API. No, you need to create an application and then you need to make sure that application is registered within your tenant and is registered to allow it access to run these queries and have access to the Graph API. So I'll show that in next hopefully in the next episode. So we've seen this, so let's close this. So this is the documentation. So here Graph Explorer, we've seen that. This is services and features. You can keep following this to know what's happening. And then here, what's new with it and all that, you can get that information. The reference, here's a cool place to start from, reference on the Graph API, so the API and the users. Then you can have a lot of other resources here. Now, so here's the API reference. So if you look at it, if you want to do anything related to users, right? Let's bring this here. So if you want to do anything related to users, users, groups, calendar, cloud communication, files, identity, mail, all that, you can click on this, any of them. So let's say we try with the mails overview, and then documentation is actually on point, all right? So it gives you details into it, details onto how to call it. So for instance, common use cases for the mail will be draft, read, reply, forward, send emails. And then if you look at any of them, so let's say if I say messages, the resource of messages, if I open that up, these are the methods: list messages, create messages, get messages. So let's say if I go to get messages, it's actually going to tell me the permission. So this is one thing you need to know. Let me bring this up again. So we're using the get message. We're using that as an example. So it tells me the namespace and it tells me it allows me to retrieve properties and relationships of messages. And then take a look at this. So what permissions do I need if I want to use this message? I'll need what? Mail.read basic, mail.read. That is if I'm using a delegated account, so work or school account, I will need the mail.read basic and mail.read. If I'm using a personal, I'll need the mail read basic and mail.read. Now any other thing, like if I'm doing this as a headless client on an application that is running in the background, it will need the mail read basic all and then mail read. All right. Then let's go here. And this is giving you like examples of the HTTP query you need to run. So get, for me, that's like, if you're using me, it means, me currently log in, and then users, specific user ID or the principal, the messages, and the message ID if you want to. So these are like the optional or the HTTP requests you need to pass. So the documentation is quite clear. It gives you access to how to call them. All right, cool. So keep this in mind. And then we've seen this already. Now, this is where I'm more interested in. All right, so still here on the graph site, right? This getting started. This is where I'm much interested in. Right? So click on getting started, and as you can see, look at all the languages, all the frameworks you can use. All right, all of it. So you can decide to do all, and this takes you to this page where you have the option to either do a quick start or you want to build an app from scratch. So this is like kind of like going to walk you through the process. So let's say build an app. So when you do build an app, this is going to actually ask you to download a pre-made application and then replace maybe keys in it, and then how do you call it? Just build the application from there. So let's use that. So I'll just click on build app, and then now it's going to ask me which language. All right, which language should I? So now take a look at this. So for those of you that say, oh, me, I'm a PHP developer, oh, me, I'm Python, me, I do React, me, I do Ruby, I do Objective C, I do Swift, I'm Node, I'm C Sharp, I'm all that. All right, you are catered for here. You are catered for. A couple of things you need to be mindful of when you're doing this here is first of all, you select your language. You need to get your app ID. So this is what I'm saying, that you need to register whichever app you want to give access to within your tenant. I'll show you how to do that today. And then signing and view events and calendars. So quite simple. So I have done, I think I did one in C sharp, but that was not the calendar one. So to keep things simple and to keep things flexible for everyone, let's try a node. Let's go for a node application, right? So I select my node, and then here we need to download and install Node version 10.7 or later. And then yeah, so to see how the sample was created, yeah, there's a walkthrough. You can look at that. You can look at that data. So get an app ID and secret. So this is where what do we do? Okay. So yeah, so this is what I'm saying, that for the app ID, you need to register the app in your Active Directory. All right. So let's go here. Yeah, so we've selected our language. We've well download and install Node. We have that. That's fine. So third one, get app secret. So I'm going to click on this, and this is going to take me to my portal. It's going to take me to the Azure portal, all right, or app registration portal. And because I've already logged in with an admin account, this is going to give me access to the registration portal. So there you go. Now, so this is the only time this app secret will be shown. So yeah, copy to the clipboard. Let me actually save it somewhere here. So here's the app secret. Let's copy it here. Copy, 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 copy. All right, we're cool. Okay. All right. So language is selected. All right, you have it. And check this out. Registration has been successful. The app name is so this is the app ID. So this has been done for you in the background, right? But I'll show you in next episode how to go and manually create your own app ID, register that. So app secret, paste the app secret here, and then we download what? Start coding, right? So let's download it. And here what's telling us. So once it's downloaded, it wants us to unzip it into a command line, install it and start, and just start playing around with it. All right, cool. So let's see how this works. So it's done. Let's show in the folder. Let's see where this is. So okay, cool. So I'm going to copy this, and then the rest I'm going to do it for you to see. I love live coding. Let me know what you think in the comment section. If there's anything that you don't understand, let me know and I'll try to clarify that. All right, so let's go. Then, hold on, let's see. Is there anything? Oh, is there anything like that? Sphere, TypeScript, Xamarin. Nope, there isn't. So anything, anyway, I'll just go ahead for another one. Yep. Then, yeah. So right here. So what I'm going to do is, let me go to that folder, and then, so if you realize I don't have anything here, right? There's nothing in there, just empty folders. So I'm going to paste the code we downloaded. All right, Wise, can you confirm it's working for you now? Okay, so now you can see that we have the file here. Okay, so I'll just unpack everything here. Now, if we try this again, it says now it's put it into graph tutorial. So let's go ahead and cd into graph tutorial. Yep. And so hey, there's nothing crazy here. All we've done is I have just downloaded after going through. Let's show this. All right. So all that happened is that after selecting my language node and then going to create the secret, I propagated all these things and I downloaded the code. So pretty much it's just pre-filled. It's this is like an easy step for you to get into it. to do the grafting. So nothing complicated here. So I'm going to do now is I'm going to open the folder in Visual Studio Code by using the simple command code dot, because I am in that graph tutorial folder. So we do this, and this should open Visual Studio Code for us. If you don't have Visual Studio Code, you should go download it. Quite simple, very interesting and nice one. All right, so here it's open in Visual Studio Code. Let's see if you can see this well. I think this is cool. Yep. So nothing much. Look at this app. Quite very simple. Create this HTTP errors, express, path, cookie passer, logger, session, flash, container, just to contain. Now take a look at this. There is env, and yep, everything is pre-filled, right? The app ID, everything is being, pre-filled for us because we downloaded that. And then the graph, this is like a helper for the whole graph, get event and all that has been. So you realize it's just simple HTTP stuff. All right, quite cool. So let's get this running and test if it works in the Node application. So now this is a Node application. This is also for the tokenization, getting the token access and keeping it right. Quite very simple. So they're using handlebars. So this gives us the calendar. So they've created their own. So that I'm saying the graph, API allows you to build or just mock out anything you want. All right. So let's go ahead and run this. And if you run the Node application, you know that you start by what npm install, because you see that we don't have any Node modules. But there, if you look at the package of JSON, we require some Node modules. So npm install is going to install those modules and make them available for us here. So I will give it some time for this to happen. Yep. So today's one is just a quick intro into it. And like I mentioned, subsequently, all right, in the next episode, for the next episodes of this, we are going to show you how to, do this step by step. All right, how to create it yourself, how to do set up your app, register the app, give the permissions and all that. All right. Cool. Yeah, and I have a very aggressive antivirus that keeps sometimes bugging me. Yeah, don't worry. I think I need to update my Docker stuff. All right, cool. Yeah, I'm not using anything Docker here, so that's fine. So what is it saying? It says that configuration error, Python import 6 version. Let's see. I'm going to run this again. Let me run npm install again. Let's see. Probably know what's happening. Yeah, that's it. That's it. So I think it was something to do with my antivirus that was just blocking that out. All right. So now that this is installed, right? What do I need to do? npm start, because there's a script in there, right? So if you look at the package.json here, and then you can see if another script session, so start, that's it. It runs it. Okay, and let's take a look at the app. I think this is running on 3000. Yeah. Yep. Yep. I think it's running on 3000. Yes. Yeah. Don't worry. Cool. So now that we have this running, let's go ahead and open our terminal, so our Windows, and go to yeah. Yep. Like I mentioned, I have a very aggressive. Right. So let's do localhost 3000, and check this out. This is a simple, look at this, simple node application, right? So click here to sign in, all right? Click here and look at this. This is all built in, all right? So they're using some components in here. So look, so let's say I'm going to sign in as so Samuel demystifytech.net. Okay, provide my my password. Yeah. Forgive my aggressive antivirus. Provide my password. Yep. Accept the consent. And this is all a Node application. Check this out. That's it. See, welcome someone. Pick my information coming from the graph. So this is my home. Check my calendar out. Check this out, right? Isn't this cool? Unfortunately, I don't have anything in the calendar, but just to show that this is working and all that. So I'm going to actually go to my office. No, let's go to portal.office.com. All right. I'm going to actually go to my calendar, create a calendar event, and I'll come back to this node application we just ran to see if it picked it up. And just to give you an idea that look, you can create your own application that calls it. And so think about this, possibilities are endless. So here, let me go to my Outlook, and I'll just go in and create. I'll go in and create. Aggressive. Having seen such an aggressive antivirus, this one. It's crazy. Crazy. Something happened. Something happened. Truthfully, I've not been able to access Outlook for my developer account. Okay, no problem. I can do it. So the good thing is that I can do it from Outlook because I've already linked that. So let's go ahead. Let's open Outlook. And then I'm going to create, when Outlook is open, all I'm going to do is I'm going to create an event, right? And then that should, how do you call it? That should create an event that we can now use our Node application to get. But in the meantime, whilst that's happening, let's go back and look at the code quickly. So quite simple, the app side here, right? Quite very simple. Simple Node app. We have .NET to pick the config. We're using Passport Azure. So there's a strategy. All right. So we're using Passport for the authentication. They're using the Passport library to do that, right? And pretty much, yeah, the user profile, configuring the OAuth snippet, function signing complete. It's very very basic and simple stuff. All right. Okay. So let's look at the graph itself. The graph helpers. So that is it. So here, this antivirus is very aggressive, guys. All right. So here we have the graph. So get user details and get event. So if I wanted to add more stuff, this is where I'll come add all the things to it here in the graph file, and then this returns a graph client that has access to all the all the methods that I want to call in my Node application. And then they have a tokens how do you call it? They have a token stuff here that allows us to work on tokenization access, getting the token, getting an access token and sending it for all the other requests. So quite interesting. So very basic, very basic stuff going on here. Yeah, and then they're creating their own views. Like you can see, we saw the calendar, we saw that the landing page, which is the index page, as you can see. Then there's a layout that has the header, kind of like defining it. You have an error page, and then they have the calendar page, which we just saw. Quite simple, has the organizer, subject, start, and end. Simple stuff. And then they have their own route. So here, this is the authentication route. This is the one that enables us to go to those pages. The calendar route, the index route. This is the first page, and this is just simple Express. All right. So cool. Whilst we're waiting for, yep. So yep. So now I have my how do you call it? I have my Outlook open on the other screen. So I'm going to go to that account. I'm going to go to my Demystify Tech, Samuel Journey, Tech. Yep, there we go. Right here. Continue. Yep. Remember this and continue. So all I'm trying to do is now I want to go ahead and create an event. Okay. And when I create that event, we should be able to see that calendar event here. I'm going to open events here again. Then okay, go. Okay, awesome. Remember, I think I should start turning. It's not a security thing anymore. Okay, so here, so this was the join the show we sent um from the Explorer, which is right here. Then I'm going to go ahead and then do a new item, and I think it's a calendar, right? So a new meeting, a new appointment. Yeah, let's do a new appointment. And then I'll just say stream next week's episode. Okay. And then yeah, we'll just leave this location. I'll just say OBS. And then I'll save. Right? I'll save and close. Okay, so I just created this stream next week's episode, 14 minutes. I just created this. Let's refresh this and see if that shows. Take a look at that. Popped in right there. Right? Let me zoom in here. All right. Now to bring this in context, take a look at this. This is something that is so I'm going to come here. This is Outlook. All right, for the particular email account that I connected to. Hey, Cybreak, what's up? Welcome to the show. We're almost done, but hey, thank you for joining. So here, I'm just going to go ahead and say new item. Let's say a new meeting, all right? Because this goes onto my calendar any which way. So a new meeting, and actually, let's bring this back here. Yep. So let me just bring the meeting pop up here. So when I clicked on new meeting, this is what came. So I'll say create event for next week's show. All right. And then required, let's say I am required, and location is, let's say, online. All right. And that's it. If I do send, okay, this creates an event. This has created an event. All right. And now if I just go and refresh my page, check this out. Create event for next week. So I'm using a Node application to access my calendar and all that. And all this is thanks to the GraphWhat API. All right. So this is what you can do using the Graph API. Not just the calendar. This is just the calendar example. You can do event flow, SharePoint. Think about it. So it gives you the control to build your solution that integrates or interacts with the Microsoft 365 ecosystem. So that is all I have for today, right? Simple introduction to the Graph API. Well, until next episode, so like I mentioned, so for the next couple of episodes on a Demystify Tech series, we're going to be talking about the Graph API or Microsoft Graph. So today we've seen simply how to use a Node application to access your calendar event thanks to the Graph API. So next week we're actually going to go through the getting started, creating step by step. How do I create my application to interact with it. We've seen the calendar, so next we'll probably take a look at how to access events, how to send and receive emails, and maybe if we are daring enough, we'll probably look at a third party backend, one of these third party admin templates. Take a look at that, infuse it with the Graph API, and then we kind of like build our own, command, kind of like a control center from the back. Not reinventing the wheel, but just showing you how you can create that. So until I come your way next week with another thrilling episode, this has been Demystify Tech. Yours truly, Samuel Adranyi. Stake and stay safe, learn something new to make the world a better place. Wow.